Stephanie, welcome to the Big Skip Energy Podcast.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Guys, got Stephanie Cohen here. Why don't you go ahead? I'll tell you what, I cannot do you justice. Go ahead and introduce yourself for the listeners, would you?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Stephanie Cohen. I am a national sales executive for First American on the Home Builder Services division side of the business.
Excellent, excellent. So, as you know, you are part of our Women in the Mortgage and Related Industry episode. Start off, tell me, how did you get into this line of work?
Honestly, that's always one of my favorite questions to ask anybody. I actually came from the property and casualty insurance side of the business before I transitioned into title. And on the insurance side of things, it's the same thing. Nobody ever, is a child saying, oh, I want to be, an insurance agent when I grow up. Oh, I want to be a mortgage originator when I grow up. You either get into the business by accident or by family. And I love to ask this question because you come up with a smattering of really unique stories. And it's one of the things that makes me so excited to be a part of this industry because there's really no cap to the level of success that you can achieve in this industry specifically without having necessarily a set resume of educational qualifications or certifications or things like that. So it's exciting. So for me personally, it was really by accident. I was living in this apartment complex. We called ourselves the Melrose Place of Scottsdale, Arizona. And I was, yeah, I know, right? I know. We were a really cool group of folks. We lived in this building together. My neighbor worked at an insurance agency focused on, high net worth individuals. And, they needed help at the office. And I was kind of in between jobs, trying to find my way, decide what I wanted to do. And I started working at this independent insurance agency and really started kind of learning the business and understanding the sales piece of things, the operational side of things. And next thing my husband and I are expecting our first child. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is where I'm staying. And I did, and I got licensed and really just kind of, wanted to learn everything I possibly could to be the best that I could possibly be. And, continued on that path for a while, eventually went on to help start the insurance division of a regional mortgage company here in town. And we sold actually a lot of First American property and casualty insurance products. We were really focused, obviously, on that first-time home buyer, on that home buying transaction. And I basically got recruited, right, away from, the agency that I was at to come, and work and represent First American, and was representing the property and casualty products. And then they decided to divest, that division and really stick to their core businesses, which are, title insurance, and transitioned over to title at that time, just because I really had this love for the organization and the company, and my boss. And really that's kind of what got me here. That's what led me here today. So it started by accident, in insurance. And as I was starting my family, I decided, this is where I need to be. And this is a great place to build knowledge and create a career for myself and for my family. And it just naturally progressed and brought me here.
I love it. See, it's kind of funny because mortgage
Yeah.
and mortgage related industries, nobody ever goes out. And people who have listened to my show know this. People have said it 100 times. Nobody goes out and says, I want to join X or Y field
Right.
related to real estate, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's not the flashiest thing in the world, it's not the most exciting, but I'll tell you what, you can, really do a lot for yourself and you can do a lot for your career by taking advantage of the resources that are available to you and working hard, right?
Yep. Yeah. See, that's the thing. I think it's kind of ironic that what we do is not very sexy, but yet it
Yeah.
contributes to the vast majority of people's biggest financial investment. I think it's kind of ironic,
I
personally.
bet.
It's just one of those things.
Do you guys consider real estate sexy? Do you consider that to be?
What do you
I mean,
mean?
personally, yeah, expand on that.
So I feel like you hear it a lot. Like what we do is it's hard work. What kind of career would you consider as well? That's a sexy career because this is the biggest purchase someone will ever make typically. So when you say
Right.
it's that's not as sexy, I think of real estate. They're showing houses, like that's what I think of. So in our industry, I think that that's the one that looks like they have this glamorous style, whereas they're also working really hard.
Right, right. And you know what? I agree with you. There are definitely aspects on the front end of this
Mhm.
industry that are more glamorous, right? That are sexy. But when you start getting into some of the more nitty-gritty processes that go into making the home buying experience possible, that's when it gets to be not quite as exciting, right? Like title insurance, not sexy, you guys. It's not, okay? Yes, it is part of the glamorous dream of owning a home and creating generational wealth and creating a safe space for your family. That is sexy. That's exciting. But, when you're talking, secondary market, you're talking title insurance, you're talking, LOS systems, it's not really that sexy. So I like to use the example as, whenever my husband and I go to, a wedding or bar mitzvah or something of that nature, everyone always asks, "Oh, Stephanie, what do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "Oh, I work in title insurance." And they're like, "Oh." And then they
Oh,
go,
that's
"Oh," they go to my husband,
nice.
"Hey, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I work in golf." And they're like, "Great." And then they have this whole conversation and I'm like, "Okay, good. You have the sexy job, right? So you can carry
Oh,
that piece of the conversation
right.
and I'll just sit here and, quietly support from behind."
Far.
Right. So, all right. So let's dive into this a little bit, and I
Yeah.
want you to share with us, your experience in the mortgage and real estate industry as a woman, and we'll start there and kind of, take whatever, branches off that we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, this is a topic that's, kind of a button for me in a multitude of aspects. Mostly because, right, I'm happy to speak on it and I'm excited to speak on it because I feel like historically the real estate finance world, the banking world, the world of lending money has always historically been male dominated, right? And
For
really
sure.
the original mortgage or the concept of mortgage stems back to ancient civilization. So it only makes sense, right? This is nothing against, men or, why have you dominated the industry? It's honestly, it's the creation of your initial family unit historically has been, the man goes out and works and earns money, woman, creates the household, has kids and everything like that. Obviously, we have evolved, right, into
Hmm.
a much different dynamic within the household, which I think is very exciting, right?
Mhm.
It is still primarily male dominated, okay? So speaking as a woman coming into this industry, there are pros, right? And there are cons, okay? One of the
Always.
pros is, oh, absolutely. One of the pros is, you know, you are unique. You are unique. I go to a lot of conferences. I am out and about. I am meeting people all the time. I walk into a room of blue and black suits and I show up in a red blazer with my bright blonde hair. I can guarantee you I will not meet everybody in that room, but people will know who I am. Okay. And I do not take that for granted. And I utilize that to my advantage. Why not? Okay. A lot of times it's easier, for a woman being a woman in the industry to get a meeting or to start a conversation, because it is different, right? It is the norm, or it isn't the norm, right? Which is wonderful. I think that's fantastic. Okay. On the flip side, there are challenges. I wouldn't necessarily say cons, okay, but challenges when it comes to being a woman in a male-dominated industry, but also just being a working woman in general. A few of those being, you know, and I speak about this from my own perspective, right? I'm a mother of 3,
Sure.
okay, sure. And we're a dual working household. So all I can do is speak to it from my perspective, okay, and those challenges. You know, single women that don't have children are going to have their own unique set of challenges. Folks that have older children that have grown up, they're going to have their own unique set of challenges. This is what I deal with in my job. Okay, I try to, I hate the word balance because it doesn't exist. I'm sorry. No matter what people say,
it doesn't exist. No, Kayla and I have had this conversation
it doesn't.
Before.
You've got to sacrifice somewhere, right? So what I do is, you know, I come in as this woman. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to make an impact. I'm ready to, you know, be great at my job and absorb information and add value to my customers, and, you know, be a respected voice in the industry. I travel for work. I spend a decent amount of time, you know, away from home. And when you're out and about, people perceive you differently, you know, as a working mother, right? They respect it, but it's interesting because we talk about, you know, it being a male-dominated industry. So you instantly think, oh, okay, it's the men that we're up against. When I'm out and I'm traveling, right, and I'm away from my family, I get asked, you know, questions all the time. Okay, well, who's home with your kids? Oh, isn't it hard? Like, oh gosh, you're lucky that your husband is so nice to, you know, hold down the fort while you're gone. And you want to know who's asking me these questions? It's not men, you guys. It's women.
Yeah, it's women. Yeah.
It's women. And I am so like, oh my gosh, like, let's lift each other up, right? And I'm confident. I know what's handled at home. You know, I know what our dynamic is, but we subconsciously do this to each other, right? We want equality. We want to overcome, you know, historically what those social norms are, and we want to be better, but yet we're the ones kind of doing it to ourselves, right? And then you get the judgment. And as women, we are more empathetic, right? Which is a strength, but it also is a weakness, so. Because then we wear it, right? We wear it, and then we start questioning ourselves. Oh gosh, am I doing the right thing? Am I spending too much time away?
Just start telling people, no, I don't even like my children. Why do you think I'm out here so much?
I don't. This is where I want to be, you know? Oh,
yeah. No. My husband's nice. He's not even home. They're by themselves.
Yeah, it's fine, you guys. I leave a bowl of water out. We pad the walls. It's totally fine.
Bowl of water. I love it. Yeah, but you know, seriously honestly, though, those are some real challenges.
It's a struggle. Yeah, it's a struggle to get that kind of response. And, you know, that's just one challenge, you know, of this. You know, another challenge, and this goes back to not just being a woman in this particular industry, but being a dual working household. That's another challenge, because our community support systems, I mean, let's talk about public schools. They haven't adjusted to the schedules of what a dual working household is. I mean, do you know how many half days my kids have? Do you know how many weeks off they have? And here I am, oh, more power to the woman. We want you to work. We want you to contribute. We want you to be equal. But we're going to make it really hard because your kids are never going to be in school.
And then you're going to feel guilty
with working parents all the time. And then you feel guilty. Yes. because then, you've got to find childcare. It makes the dynamics difficult. So you're battling all of these different things. You're battling, biases. You're battling, trying to break into an industry that's historically male dominated. You're dealing with, community systems just that haven't adapted as quickly as they probably should to the reality of what today's family unit looks like and what it looks like to contribute to a family unit and be a dual working household. So that's another challenge. And, those are the kind of things that, we're up against. And I think there have been a lot of strides made within this industry to support women, which I think is fantastic. You've got, the Empower groups and, you've got, employee resource groups, and you have a lot of corporate initiatives that provide support groups and connection points for women to help navigate these kinds of challenges, which is really fantastic. Okay. And I truly respect and appreciate those resources. Okay. Now, on the flip side of that, again, here we are, we're going to these luncheons, rah, 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 go women, go women. Okay, we can do this together. Let's be stronger. Let's support each other. But then we don't walk the walk. And by that, I mean, a lot of times, we are competitive, right, with each other. Okay, which a lot of times is a good thing, especially for myself. If you're in sales, you want somebody that's competitive. You're out selling houses, you're selling title, you're selling tech, you're doing whatever. You want somebody that's got that competitive spirit. But there's a way to do it in a healthy manner. And sometimes the competitive spirit that is a biological initiative, okay? Or a biological imperative, okay, of humans in general. We tend to say that we want to support each other, but we don't talk nicely about each other, behind each other's backs. We don't do those things, in a meeting when you see, a woman get interrupted. You don't ask her to finish her thought. You're not doing these things that we all talk about and we support, but we need to actually do them. And I think that piece is so important because I think we forget about that. And I think the more that we look in the mirror and look at ourselves and try to realize what makes us uncomfortable, and we flip it and look at ourselves, it's only going to make us better. And by focusing that into empowering each other, whether it's a woman, whether it's a man, regardless, we just need to be kinder humans. And I think at the very base level, that will make everybody's lives easier when it comes to trying to break into an industry that is unbalanced from a gender standpoint.
Yeah.
And if you let me keep going, I'll just keep talking for hours.
No. This is great. I just want Kayla to chime in here. I'm not, because I can see her. I can hear her wheels turning.
I know the wheels turning.
They've been turning for about 18 minutes, actually, because it's first and foremost, you are spot on. I think that, there's two things that come to mind, and I am known as the cliche girl, but life is cliches. Like, I get it, but high tides raise all ships, right? But you're also an accumulation of the rooms that you're in, right? So one of the things that I've noticed, and maybe you have too, is that jealousy is one thing that you can actually use to lift you and to use as fire underneath you. And jealousy, and the reason I go that route is because I think that that's where a lot of this is stemming from. But jealousy, in my opinion, is when you want something. You are jealous because someone has something you don't want. Maybe it's a career, or maybe it's hair, the body, or the family, whatever it may be. Women sometimes can use that incorrectly. They should be using it as fuel to be better, to surround themselves by more people, but they actually internalize that, and then they want to bring that person almost down sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And again, this goes back to biology, right? This is evolutionary. This stems back to, when, the caveman times when, women are trying to position themselves to get the most, valuable mate in order to fulfill and continue their genetics, right? And it's deeply ingrained in us. And the key is to recognize it and to know it. Because those kind of features that are ingrained in our historical heritage aren't anything that can be changed overnight. It is changed at an individual level, and it is changed by being aware of it, right? And I think we all need to speak more about that piece because it is so important. It was actually, I agree so much with what you're saying, Kayla, when it comes to jealousy. I think Mel Robbins, I really hope I'm not wrong on this, is the one that was like, jealousy doesn't exist without desire, right? And desire is a really powerful emotion that we can actually channel to lift ourselves up, right? And to attain goals in a healthy manner, to create that fire, right? And as opposed to projecting it negatively onto others, turn it around, put it back into yourself to help you achieve your goals. And at the end of the day, it's not about being a woman. It's not about being a man. It's about working, and it's about working hard, and it's about perfecting your craft and being loyal to what you do, doing it with integrity, and wanting to be the best that you can possibly be. And I have to say, I'm so appreciative of so many of the powerful women leaders that we do have in this industry. There are so many women that I respect that have really done the work. And I have to say, hats off and thank you to them. And thank you to so many of the men, in the industry as well, that have welcomed me and have mentored me. Thank you. We appreciate it. We as a collective, we need to lift up and support each other. But, there are things that we face that are definitely challenging. But there are also, advantages at the same time, and resources that are available to us to take advantage of.
I really feel like I just need to step back. I know. I'm just like, Stephanie and Kayla just need to start talking about this, and I'll just be like, yes. Yeah, no, that is great information. And actually, Stephanie, I think you hit on something there a second ago, that another person who's going to be on this same series, Jamie Kavanaugh out of Los Angeles. Yeah, I don't know if you two have ever run into each other, but anyway, she that echoes a lot of the same things. So it's actually interesting to hear that y'all are on the same page as far as that goes, which is good. That's good.
And I think, oh, sorry, I interrupted you. I think one of the things too, and maybe you experience this because Stephanie, you're very heavy on social media, and it's awesome because you are doing something that a lot of people in your industry are not at all. And like you said, you're a woman, you stand out. One question I have for you is, do you feel that because social media allows us to see so many other people, you're doing big things where you're at, do you get that internal struggle where you're seeing other people doing more and you're like, well, I'm doing a lot here, but that person in Idaho is really crushing title? Does that drive you? Or do you find that it's kind of a balance of, I'm doing well and that's inspiring me? Like, how do you feel about social media doing what you're doing and how you feel internally?
It's funny. I was actually talking to my boss about this this morning, about, leveraging, LinkedIn specifically for me, simply because I'm business to business. So leveraging platforms like Instagram or Facebook don't necessarily, speak to my line of work. But I think social media is such a phenomenal tool. And I will tell you what, I was so hesitant when I first got into the lender title side of the business to start leveraging LinkedIn. I was like, oh my gosh, what a sterile platform. Oh, I really have to start utilizing LinkedIn. Like, you've got to be kidding me. And then
it's whatever you make it.
It is whatever you make it. And I started paying attention. I started paying attention to folks that do have a good presence on LinkedIn. I started realizing and paying attention to the kind of content they were posting, the kind of stuff that gets engagement and things. And then it became almost, I don't want to say a game, but it opened my eyes to what a valuable tool social media can be, because it is an indirect way of staying in front of your network, your prospects, your customers, and it is a way to see what other people are doing. Because in the era of remote work, we are not in an office collaborating and talking to people being like, hey, what are you doing that works for you? What are you doing that works for you? So if you're on LinkedIn and you're seeing, so-and-so in Idaho is doing this, or so-and-so from this competing company is doing this, it gets your brain working and you're like, wow, that's a great idea. Maybe I should try to implement that. And you find what is true to you, what works for you. But really, it is a phenomenal tool. And Kayla, I have to say, following you are very active on social as well. And your content is incredibly inspiring. You're consistent. The way that you deliver it is digestible and relevant
she
at
does
the
it
same
right.
time.
She does it right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's impressive. So I have to say, thank you. Coming from you, I really appreciate the call out and the compliment. So you do a great job at that as well.
Well, I think that it's really cool to be able to utilize a tool that is free, that you're not spammy with emails. If people don't want to follow you, they just hit a button. And so it's this amazing tool to stay in front of people without having to pay excessive billboard fees or pay for advertising. And it's organic. And you can, what I love, and you guys probably both know this, is LinkedIn and Instagram, Facebook, they have ways that you can then communicate to the person. So it's a like, a comment, and then you're interacting. So that's one of the things, like, for example, TikTok doesn't really allow. So being able to have those contents that create conversation is what leads to relationships, to trust, to deals, to more and more and more.
Right. Absolutely. That's so true.
Stephanie, also, I want to point out that your social media presence is also the exception for your line of work than the rule. Because you don't see a lot of other title. Well, no, it is. It's good.
Right.
And I say that in a positive way because, just out of curiosity, I went around and looked at some of your peers in the same space and that kind of thing to see. You by far stand out more than they do. So people can see you're out there, you're doing things, you're being active. Because in your particular field, and I don't think I'm saying anything that's hardly controversial here, but you're typically in the background, and so you're bringing to light the efforts and work that things that you're doing are really taking track. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And, I will say, there are definitely segments and divisions of title to where LinkedIn may not be a tool. So, for example, if you are a resale title rep, working in your local county, a lot of times, LinkedIn may not be your first go-to tool, right? When I started in title, I was in the centralized space. So we were providing a solution for lenders, and I have to say, in the mortgage space, they lean into LinkedIn very heavily. So if your network, right, your prospects, your customers are leaning into a platform, you better be on it or else you are falling behind. So I took this as an opportunity to, one thing I like to really point out is LinkedIn, I utilize it as a tool to create a legitimacy to my presence within the industry because I came in new. I came in new. I came in new to an industry of veterans, folks that have been in the industry for 20, 30 plus years. And here I am, just this new gal, just learning how to spell title. Why should people trust me, right? Why should people know me? Why should people trust me? And I leveraged LinkedIn as a way to do a few different things, right? To show, that I'm here and I'm here to stay and I take this seriously. Also, that I'm a hustler. I am out there. I am involved. I want to know, right? And the other piece of it is, you create your own personal brand as well as representing the company that employs you. So it's a mix of both. Because again, at the end of the day, people do business with folks that, they like and that they trust.
Like, know, and trust.
So through LinkedIn, and this is beautiful. Okay. I don't think people talk about this enough. Have you ever, I'm sure you guys are both on Facebook and Instagram and everything. Have you ever, you follow somebody on Facebook for years, you haven't seen them in, a decade. And all of a sudden you run into, this happens to me, you run into them or their kids out in public and you're like, oh my gosh, how was Disneyland? And how was this? You haven't talked to that person. You don't know their kids. You've never met them. But social media creates this perception in your mind. It tricks your mind into thinking that you know somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So now you've taken that piece and you've gotten it out of the way. It also gives you an ability to share, create content that supports your personal brand and shows your personality. So then people can decide whether or not, they like you. And then if you're providing content that is relevant, it is trustworthy, to, the industry that you're in, now you become a person to trust. So you can really use that platform in order to achieve all three: know, like, trust. And I think people really miss out on that historically because LinkedIn was a recruitment tool, but it has transformed into a professional community. And it is a fabulous platform to utilize, especially if you are coming into a space new. Can I give a shout out to somebody?
Of course.
Okay, I'm giving a shout out to somebody. Okay, there is this young gal, young, beautiful, eager, intelligent young woman. Her name is Allie Carty. She is works for a company called Active Comply. And she is a phenomenal example of somebody young that is coming in, making a name for themselves within the mortgage industry, within the mortgage space, and utilizing LinkedIn as a way to be known and to become that person to know and to push out valuable content in videos and all of those things. She's doing a phenomenal job. And a lot of folks, should look to people who are leveraging the platform and being successful with it and integrate it in a way that works for them and for their message. It has to be authentic and, to Kayla's point, organic. It has to feel right, because if it doesn't feel right to you, people are smart. They're going to be like,
they're going to pick up on the bullshit meter
exactly.
strong.
Exactly. Be authentic, be you, leverage the free resources you have available to you, and, connect with people. This is a people business. And that's what's going to make you successful, regardless of what your job is within this industry. It is people. We are people helping people achieve the American dream, which is the ultimate, human experience, right? This is their safe place to raise their kids and to make memories and to, to live their life. If you look at it from that standpoint, you'll use it. You'll use the tool. You'll reach out to people. You'll be vulnerable. You will make an effort to get to know everybody you possibly can. And I'll tell you what, it's not going to hurt you.
So, Stephanie, we are running low on time, but I tell you what, where can someone get a hold of you?
LinkedIn. Honestly, all of my contact information.
What?
All of my contact information is on LinkedIn. My email address, phone number. I'm pretty great about responding to direct messages within LinkedIn. That's a great place to start to obtain my contact information. Again, I love to talk to folks. So even if you just want to run ideas back and forth, or you're dealing with challenges that spoke to you throughout this podcast, please give me a call, give me a ring.
Perfect.
I'm happy to talk.
I love it. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and you had some really, really good insights. So thank you for sharing those.
And from one woman to another.
Thank you, guys. From one woman to another. Thank you, Kayla. I really appreciate it, and I really thank you guys so much for having me and letting me take so much time just speaking my mind.
We need it.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.